there was the desire to sort of, I can do this, right? I can do this for people and they can pay me. I can make a living like this. But at 22, raising a family, for me, it was difficult to take a risk, right? It was going to be a risk, and I didn't have capital. It wasn't something that I could go and get the money to start a company, right. And so, I just kept working and working and working.
Three, two, one, zero, and liftoff.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of MissionCTRL. This is your host, Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch brands, and we've got an exciting episode for you today. We have the one and only Jose Velazquez, co-owner of Carriage Trade Solutions. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Very excited.
Absolutely. Me too, man. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
I've been watching you just, your evolution.
I know.
You're in the audience. Now you're in the studio. You're moving up in the world.
There you go.
Bridgeport-based managed services provider and business technology consultant.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
It's a mouthful
it is.
For turn it off and turn it back on, right?
Right. Is that still work? Is that like your
absolutely.
first?
I'm going to tell you right now, listen, I'm going to let you in on the soup, okay? 95% of my calls. Go ahead and restart it. It works. I'm telling you, man, it's magic.
It's still, that's the famous like cable solution. Like,
absolutely.
My cable's not working. Did you turn off the box?
Mm-hmm.
Turn it back on.
There you go.
Why does that work? What does it do? Does it reset everything?
Yes. The very short answer is that it puts everything back to its original state.
Yeah.
And everything is then working the way it's supposed to through its steps of starting up. And now you're back where you need to be to finish whatever it is you were doing.
And why don't people think of doing that before they call you?
I think we've been around this stuff for so long now, right? So my first home PC, and by the way, it's much longer. I was late to the game. My first home PC was
Commodore 64?
No.
Before that?
No, much later.
Oh, later.
1996, Acer P75.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, no, that had a whole 512 meg hard drive, by the way.
That's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, no, that was insane.
Rocking the Apple IIe, like that was my first.
No. I'm from Bridgeport, man. We had that in school. You didn't have that at home in Bridgeport, man.
Beauty of having your dad be the computer teacher.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
So let's get into it because we like getting right to the gold.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go.
And it is a mouthful. Managed services and business consulting technology. Yep. What does IT actually mean for business? So
for the vast majority of, small and medium business, right? That's what folks like me deal with. I'm not enterprise level where I'm taking on a GE or a Xerox or something like that, right? We want to provide that type of IT service to small and medium businesses, mom and pop businesses that still have to use their technology, master their technology in order for their business to thrive and to grow and succeed, right? You can't do business on pen and paper anymore. Your distributors won't do it. Your vendors won't do it. Your customers won't do it. You know what I mean? They expect to whip up the phone and get going, right? And so that's what we're here to do for those businesses, right? These are businesses that every bit of their revenue goes into generating more revenue, right? And for a lot of folks, the expense of IT is prohibitive, and it's not because services, companies like us are expensive, right? What we see is that you have an IT guy, mm-hmm. right, and one IT guy that knows enough to do this well, right, and professionally, is going to run a big chunk of money. Sometimes up northwards of $150,000 a year. And most businesses don't have that. And so companies like mine, we come in and we provide these services, this expertise at a fraction of that, and they don't have to worry about it. They tell us what needs to happen and we make it happen. We let them know where they need to be, compared to where they are and how we can get there, and we execute. And they have enterprise level IT. for the cost of not enterprise level IT.
Right. Explain, I mean, for the uninitiated, enterprise level, because you started out saying I'm not enterprise,
Right.
but for small
Okay.
businesses you can be, but maybe
Right.
just help describe that.
So enterprise is those massive multinational corporations, like I said, the GE, the Xerox, thousands of employees, tens of thousands of computers and servers and what have you that need to be addressed, and they have a staff of 100 handling all of that. That's enterprise IT. And what we find is that a lot of that can be accomplished at a much lower level for smaller businesses, so that they are dealing with a greater level of reliability than bringing in your nephew, your cousin, the one
Who knows computers.
Right, the one person in the
There's
one
always,
person
like, he knows computers. Like,
Right.
That's such a blanket
yeah,
statement.
yeah, the one person in the office that knew how to set up email addresses in 1997, is now the IT person.
Right. And it's always like, and it's interesting how the industry gets, our industry, your industry kind of get melded, where a lot of people just assume as soon as it has anything to do with computers, it's all the same set of services.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I get questions.
Mac, PC, has that become...
Well, they oftentimes they'll think of MSP as a web developer
Right.
too, and vice versa.
Yeah,
so.
they will do that, and there are some aspects of that we manage, because through our services we handle their vendor relationships, right? So that it's easier for the vendor to understand what is being asked when it's coming from us, right? Once we've had that conversation with the customer, and then we interface with the vendor and get the right thing. So we deal with their domain registrars, for example, because we're setting up their DNS, we're setting up their MX records, their mailbox records for their email to go to the right places, make sure it doesn't get kicked to spam wherever they're sending it to. So we do handle some of that, right? But we're definitely not web designers,
But that's a good strategic partner for you.
Yes, absolutely. And
you make your job, it makes our job that much easier, because we can talk to somebody who actually understands what we're asking for. So when it comes time to, hey, we need to migrate, we just recently completed a whole AWS migration to a whole new node, the whole new generation of tech. And we needed to have somebody who understood, hey, we need to get these records moved at this time, this TTL, that way we can have the smooth transition.
So let's make here's an idea. Let's make a list. What are the top 5 things a small business needs to do? And you can include backups, disaster recovery. Maybe just give us for someone out there that doesn't think they need you here or is using someone, maybe they're not happy, but what would you advise?
I think the number one thing most small and medium business owners overlook is that cloud backup, right? A lot of them, they've got the external hard drive hooked up and they're dumping stuff into the hard drive, or they've got a nice backup rotation going. But if that hard drive is sitting there, when something happens, the hard drive is toast too, right? And now you have nothing. So you do want to have a sort of third backup, right? My partner Ryan likes to say, 1 is none, 2 is 1, and 3 is 2, right? As far as backups are concerned. And so we've sort of seen people kind of drop into a not complacency, right? But thinking, well, my stuff isn't in cloud, it's safe. There's no backup for any cloud service unless you get backup for your cloud service. I'll tell you that right now. Right. So you got to make sure that you have that conversation.
So redundancy, have more than one.
Right, absolutely. So that's number one. I think number 2, of course, is the sort of the role of email protection now in business. Right, super important. Right, it's very important to stop things from coming in. Period. Right. There's a bit of user education, of course, that is helpful. Right. And I think, we've heard folks speak ad nauseum about, don't get scammed and this is what you look for. But in the end, what you need is a product that will stop the bad stuff from coming in. Right.
attachments and such.
Exactly. And you know, if you have a service, like we have a service that will sort of steam open the letter, right, and see what's in it, and if it's safe, see the letter back up and send it on through, right, and that keeps malicious payloads from coming through at all. You never see them. So that's what will immediately cut down on, you know, users being sort of social engineered into giving up credentials, into giving up, you know, passwords. And I think I'd say probably right after that, I think that it's super important that even if you're not replacing your computers on a schedule, 3 to 5 years roughly, right? Replace them when they don't get updates anymore. Okay, and that saves more headache than you know, a lot of things. When you're making sure that you've got hardware and software that's still being serviced, that is, you know, protecting you
and the
and your
importance
data.
of that would be, if it's no longer getting updated, there aren't any security patches available.
Exactly.
And the bad guys are gonna come in, so to speak, through one of those old machines.
Right. And by the way, we're looking at that right now in October, right? In mid-October, Windows 10 will stop getting security updates. Right. And I think Microsoft finally got their stuff together to where it's not like XP where they were like, all right, maybe next year. No, Windows 10 is finished. We've had 3 years now with Windows 11, right? And we've had probably, I said more than 3, but we've also had, more importantly, about 9 years to buy new machines that will allow Windows 11 to run, that will allow you to upgrade to Windows 11 from Windows 10. That one's really important because there's a hardware requirement there. And so I fear that we are going to see some folks scrambling, you know, when it comes to hardware that will allow you to upgrade in place.
Yeah, getting that little notification. And for some people, it's just a matter of, hey, I need to go into the BIOS and change the settings. But you ask the average user that, especially average user at a small to medium business, they're like, what? I need to do who? And now, you know,
right,
you're going to need some help.
And by and large, that's not what we're about. Like, I don't want to do that, right? And I don't want to do it because it's not a good use of our service for the client. Right. It's not a good use of their time, right? Going in and manually upgrading the operating system, that's unheard of, right? So what we want to do is we want to have that bit of education, right? We want to talk to folks and say, listen, this is what you should be doing, and this is how you plan for that, right? We you know, that's when we talk about the budget. We talk about IT, whether or not it's an expense, you know, and
or an investment.
Make sure the money's going in the right place, you know?
So you got backups, you got disaster recovery, cloud redundancy, 2-factor. Does that matter for businesses?
More and more it does. And I will tell you that is a difficult piece for MSPs to sort of bring into the workplace and educate users. A lot of folks are already dealing with it in their personal life in one way or another. But what you see sometimes is employees that are like, well, I'm not going to put that on my personal phone. Are you going to give me a phone to do that with, right? But there are a number of solutions that will allow us to sort of move forward with that. You know, in a way that's device agnostic, and you know, the user doesn't have to use their own device for it. There's credential managers, of course, password managers, right? So like the password app in Apple right now, services like Bitwarden, Dashlane, 1Pass, things like that, where you're able to upload these credentials into that service. You have one master password, they're encrypted, and now through an extension on your browser or an app on your phone, if you want, right, you just feed that data automatically into whatever app is asking for it, and you don't have to know the password, right? You know one password, and that's to get into the password manager. And that for us is solving the issue of, whether or not our clients are going to try to ask their users, their employees, to use their own devices for this sort of thing. But it broadly, two-factor is here, and you got to do it. And Microsoft isn't letting you work without it. So,
and do you have any advice for somebody who might need to get upper management on board with, hey, it's funny, in our own staff meeting, it was like, hey, I know what we have to do it. I don't love doing, Ramon was talking about, I don't love doing the authenticator, but I know that I have to. And,
it's annoying, but I know that it's protecting us.
You know what? I think, and this is where it's, so I'm not from the technology space, right? I didn't sit there writing code when I was 8 years old. I was watching TV. You know what I mean? And so I come at this from a leadership standpoint, from a management standpoint. It's culture.
Yeah.
Right. It has to become part of the culture in the company. And once you do that, then the implementation is smooth at that point, right? But you know how they say you get more flies with honey, right?
Bees?
So no, because the bees make the honey. Right. You get more flies with honey.
Okay. More honey than vinegar. Yeah.
Well, you bring up a good point, man, that I want to hear more about.
Yeah.
Your story, your background.
Sure.
We're going to hear all about it when we come back.
All right.
After these words.
Right.
Do you need printing done on time and for a good price? From posters to embroidery, business cards and booklets, and everything in between. Check out my boy Harry, our partners over at Minuteman Press of Shelton. High quality products, timely service, competitive prices. You can expect these and more when you partner with Minuteman Press of Shelton for your design, printing, and marketing needs. For more information, visit shelton.minutemanpress.com and mention Peralta Design's Mission Control podcast for an extra 10% off your next order.
3, 2, 1. Let's go. We launch brands.
And we're back. Please join me once again welcoming Jose Velazquez, co-owner of Carriage Trade Solutions.
Glad to be back.
The fans, I think they just love the beard.
Carriage Trade Solutions. Where did the name come from?
So my partner, and this is funny because we share a background in music promotion, my partner and I, many years
Which one,
apart.
Ryan or
Ryan?
Ben?
Yeah, okay. Ryan for a long time managed a local band, and he named his promotion company Carriage Trade Promotions, or production. Yeah, promotions. Carriage Trade Promotions. And so when we got together and decided, well, we're going to have to create this company, and that's a really long story, and we can revisit that some other time.
Part two.
Yeah. We kind of had to create this company if we wanted to keep eating and paying the bills. Gotcha. That's where we're going to be. And so when we created the company, he threw up the name Carriage Trade Solutions, and I loved the flow, right? I loved the way that comes off the tongue. And, he came up with our very simple logo, right? Our CTS logo. I spiffed it up a little bit, and that's what it has been since 2018. Nuno, by the way, is the font there from Google Fonts, because, we did everything open source back then, right?
Right.
Listen, I ran this company for 3 years on a 2015 MacBook Pro. So, but so that's where Carriage Trade Solutions came from. Being I don't even know what to call it, but this is a thing that I do. I ran it back, and I'm like, okay, well, we deal with technology, right? And we deal with
a carriage return it's the first thing that came to mind.
Well, that's not bad, but I took it even farther back. I was like, well, we handle people's email, right? We deal with people's email. And, email comes from, letters that we used to write and send through the mail and everything, right? And I went all the way back to the
Horse
Pony
and buggy,
Express.
yeah.
Exactly. I went back to the Pony Express and the Stagecoach, Carriage Trade Solutions. There you go.
When you attended Brand New, when you were in the audience, was it Carriage Trade?
No, man, no.
What was it then?
So
what year was that? It was a while ago.
I'll tell you what, I'm not going to say the name of the employer because that's
right.
part of that sort of story.
Yeah.
But I was working for another MSP at the time. And so I went to Brand New because I wanted to, there had been a merger. We were doing some rebranding, some refreshing, and I wanted to learn more about how to tackle that. I'm a bit of a hobbyist in a lot of things, right? Whether it's, I am somewhat of a hobbyist when it comes to web design, right? I know some about that and a little bit of, not like the meme says, well, graphic design is my passion, right? But you can see the camel case, right? But I do mess with that in a way that I think yields some level of result for me. And so sorry, this is the second time it's happened today. Like I've absolutely lost the train.
That's okay.
So I went to Brand New to, see if I could pick some stuff up to then apply to the process of what we were doing at our company, rather than spend money on, on a marketing company.
Do it myself.
Right? Yeah, no, we're just do it. So there was no Carriage Trade Solutions yet. However, everything that I put into the creation of our brand and our branding, right? 'Cause those are two separate things. I applied what I learned at that one afternoon at Brand New. So thank you for that.
Awesome.
It led to
You were
a
a good
lot.
student. You were very engaging, and you had questions. You were sitting at the front.
No.
Was that not unlike when you were the young Jose, like 8 years old, watching TV? When you were
Man,
let's take it back to the beginning.
I'm gonna tell you what. No, I was
story.
very much a back of the classroom cat. To my detriment, right? I have never been a student, right? And that led to me being a high school graduate and not having a degree or anything like that. But when I came to that realization, after graduation at Bullard Havens, go Tigers.
What would you take up there? Carpentry or?
No, man, machine tool and die making.
Oh, wow.
Like it was the farthest thing possible from what I'm doing now, right? It was crazy. I love that shop, by the way. Precision machining for me was really, really cool. But, I went into the Marine Corps after high school because I wasn't going to waste my parents' money in college not being a student, right?
Why'd you pick out of all the different services? That's one of the toughest ones, I think.
Oh man, this is
Jarhead.
So this is going to peel back some of the mystique about Jose and Jose's service in the Marine Corps. The Army recruiter wasn't there. That's it. I went to the recruiting station on Main Street in Bridgeport, over by Scala, when it was over by Scala Real Estate. And I was going to go, I had spoken to the Army recruiter and they said everything that I wanted to hear. Oh yeah, pay for college, this and all of that. Right. And then I went back for a follow-up visit and he was nowhere to be found, but the Marine Corps recruiter was there. I was like, oh man. So I started talking to the Marine Corps recruiter, and the Marine Corps recruiter is like, well, what are you going to do for me?
Yeah.
What are you going to do for the Marine Corps? And I was like, oh okay.
They're built different. The Marines are.
Challenge accepted, right? And so, a couple of months after graduation, I was off to boot camp. And
parents supportive? They're okay with this?
I strong-armed them a little bit.
Yeah.
I signed up early when I was 17. Something called the Delayed Enlistment Program, which allowed me to apply reserve time, while I finished high school, basically.
Yeah.
So
I signed up, by the way.
Oh yeah.
In high school, I wanted the free GI Joe wristbands.
Get out of here! That's exactly what I did,
exactly.
Man.
That's what I wanted.
Yes.
But when the recruiter called me, I was like, I'm not home. I'm not here.
No, listen, man. I was in the locker room after a football game.
Yeah.
And he showed up. in the locker room. And I was like, oh, I can't avoid him now, right? And
you're not ducking this dude.
No, not at all. No, he was not messing around. He was a cook, by the way, but he was a hell of a recruiter. And so that led to 7 years in the Marine Corps, right? In infantry and as a marksmanship instructor. So I was on the range teaching folks how to shoot, helping them qualify and what have you. And during that time was sort of like the genesis of my interest in technology. It was sort of the birth of token ring networking at the time. It's an old, I don't expect anybody to know what the hell I'm talking about when I say Banyan Vines, right?
I wish Kev was here because he had a whole
you guys
class.
Would geek out.
Listen, if the computer next to you dropped off the network, you were gone too. It was the worst. But that got me interested. That got me interested in the guts of the hardware, in upgrading and building and what have you. And yeah, I mean, I was a grown man at this point. I think I was like 22, 23 years old. I already had a kid. And so it spoke to me, in a way that was like when I was in middle school, and so I stuck with it, through all that time. And, I remember, one of my first jobs was as a project manager, in Virginia at a data entry firm, and I was handling the IT there, and it just continued to grow from there.
You start learning a little bit about the biz.
Exactly. There was because even then, that's a good point. Even then, and this was a long time ago. I'm not going to say when.
You already told me Desert Storm. So
I know, right?
So we're right here.
So even then, I had there was the desire to sort of, I can do this, right? I can do this for people, and they can pay me. I can make a living like this. But at 22, raising a family, for me, it was difficult to take a risk, right? It was going to be a risk, and I didn't have capital. It wasn't something that I could go and get the money to start a company, right. And so, I just kept working in jobs that allowed me exposure to technology in some way.
Did you start moonlighting at some point, like offering some services on the side?
I have done that. Yeah, I have done that in the past. Early on, when I was in Virginia, I took on little jobs here and there. Even when I was working for an MSP in Stanford, more recently, in the last 15 years, I took on some clients, of my own to do stuff for. And, that sort of gave me some insight into how to do. But interestingly, the ability for me to create and run Carriage Trade Solutions and sort of, run a business came to me from other sectors that were completely unrelated, right? So obviously, my time is in the Marine Corps as a leader, helps with that. Obviously, you have a different sort of perspective, a point of view, and what have you. But also, I worked for a contract security company for a long time. And it was a contract security company that was built from many old school contract security companies, one of them being Pinkerton, right? And so I learned a very old school method of business development, right? And that's shaking hands.
Meeting people, I've been
shaking
seeing
hands
and
meeting people, and I started
relationships.
I started going to chamber events, all the way back in 2017 when I was working for that other MSP, to start that process, and so my time with the security company, gave me a lot of insight into business development, client relationship management, right? Account management, keeping your clients happy, and then the other part of this, and I think it's a really important thing to focus on, is that as a company, I have always made sure that we're delivering excellent customer service first, right? Because we're not here to fix issues. You know what I mean? We're here to help you succeed. We're here to help you do your job.
Give you peace of mind.
Exactly. And so if I empower you, right, to do that so that next time you don't have to call me because you learned something from me, then we're winning, right? And it's not because I don't want to do work, because I love doing this stuff. I really do.
Yeah.
But there's a huge knowledge gap out there that folks don't talk about, right? Almost every job posting says, proficient in Microsoft Office, right? You know where I'm going with this. Nobody knows how to use Microsoft Office. No one. I take that back. The guys in finance, they come out Excel pros from college, right? They're taught how to burn through Excel.
Yeah.
It's
That's
amazing.
their skill.
It's incredible.
Spreadsheets, yeah.
No one else does that. No one else does that. I will put you to sleep if I were to recount the number of times I have had someone tell me I can't get to my QuickBooks company. Well, that's because you're not looking at a file manager. You're looking at a recent files list, and nobody taught you that. So let me teach you that. And I do it in a way where they experience success. Right? I don't Nick Burns them. You ever watch Saturday Night Live? Nick Burns, IT guy, right? Move. Right? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We very much strive to change that paradigm in people's minds, because that's what they think of too.
Yeah.
Right. And I think we're succeeding with that. I think that many of our clients are very happy with the way that we interact with them, the way we speak to them, the way we get things done for them is done in a way that doesn't make them feel like they're imposing on us. I'm like, you're paying me, man.
There's something that's intriguing about the way you guys started this company that is difficult, which is a partnership structure. So tell me this part, because it's easy. It's not easy to start your own business. I don't want to be quoted as saying that. It's hard, but it's easier if you're the only one that has to make the decision.
Right. Yeah.
I've been in partnerships before where it just did not work for me for a number of reasons. Tell me, how did you guys, I know that you guys had this music, one of the gentlemen had, it was more of a band or a music thing. Well, how did you guys identify? Were you guys friends first? Did you guys do the articles of organization where you each put on paper what your roles are and what your responsibilities are? Number one most important thing that you need to do. Number one. Okay. When you're talking about partnership is you need to sit down and everybody needs to understand what their role is. Yes. Right. And most importantly, understand what their weaknesses are and their strengths. Right. We have been very fortunate that the three of us are incredibly complementary. Right. Anywhere that I'm weak, Ryan and Ben shore me up. Anywhere that Ryan is weak, Ben and I shore him up. Anywhere that Ben is weak, Ryan and I shore him up. That is a stroke of luck. I'm going to be brutally honest with you, right? It just so happens that that's how it shook out. Ryan and I are close friends from working together at the previous MSP. And Ryan and Ben are close friends from WestCon. And so there is a sort of there's a through line through the three of us that binds us together in a way that made it easy for us to do that. I was gonna say if you had a couple more guys, it'd be like Force 5. There's a bit of Voltron aspect where with together you're stronger than individuals. Right, but we're that Voltron that you never got to see on TV with the three robots, right? There was 3 Voltrons. There was the 5 lions, right? Yeah. That's the most popular one. There was the 22 vehicles. That was a little excessive, by the way. That was too much. Can you imagine trying to buy that toy in the 80s? Your parents, it would have been insane.
No, it was all die-cast metal too.
Yeah, no, it's like it's like the aircraft carrier, the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier. You know, everybody knew someone who had it, but it wasn't them. Exactly. but yes, we work incredibly well together due to the complementary nature of our strengths and opportunities. Okay, I don't like to say weaknesses. That was taught to me by Best Buy. Opportunities, wins and opportunities. And so that is how we were able to sort of overcome the very real challenge of the possibility of, butting heads. And listen, not to say that it's been a peach, right? We've had our disagreements, but we always come back to it from the standpoint of friends in business together.
Talk to me how you guys. Where were you before the Knowlton and then moving there? What was that like as partners? Did one of you identify it and present it?
Okay, so
because that's a big move for you guys to be now Bridgeport-based.
I'm going to tell you what happened. Our landlord in Brookfield bombed the office with mothballs. Yeah,
this is not the glamorous business story,
right? No. We had a small office. We had a small office in Brookfield, and we're almost always not all three of us there at the same time. So it wasn't that big a deal, but we needed it in order to be able to ensure our clients' equipment that we're configuring and holding base. Right. And so we were there for a couple of years. It was a nice relationship. We had a good landlord and everything, but dude bombed the place with mothballs, and one of us is allergic to that, and it made the place completely unusable.
Jesus.
Right. And so now we had to get out of there, and now we're looking for a place to go. And it happens that last year we ended up closing a fair amount of new business in Bridgeport. Not a small amount. We made a significant growth there, and my long time involvement with BRBC, as the chamber that I go to, also played into that. We had looked at one place on Fairfield Ave for a little bit, and we really liked it, but it was a little bit pricey. And Sharon poached us, man, the day of the day of the expo, right? At the arena, we were talking about this, and Sharon was right there, and he goes, "Well, I got a place, man, and you come look at it." I'm like, all right, sure. I mean, I have to do my due diligence here. Right. And so, he had a really nice space for us, for all three of us. That was,
got the exposed bricks,
the right size. Yeah, exactly. I've got a little replica of the smokestack, by the way, that we're about to knock down.
Right, so that's going to be a collector's item.
It's so crazy to think about. Like, that's been iconic since as long as I can remember.
I'm going to tell you what, I can give you a whole other podcast on the significance of that smokestack in my time here since I came here from Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Did you grow up nearby a PT or no, or Marina?
No, I was on the east side.
Okay.
Right, I was on the east side up by Harding.
Okay.
Yeah, I was up by Harding.
What's up there where the old GE plant was?
Yeah.
Boston Ave.
Bond Street, Boston Ave, right? Palisade Ave, right down the street from Bullard Havens.
Success Village.
Seaview
Avenue.
Yeah. And so that's where I grew up, and so anytime that we left, we visited family in New York or whatever, and we're coming back up 95, as a kid.
You're home.
Like the smokestack is there. Exactly. That's it exactly, bro. I would see it. I was like, I know we're almost home. Yeah. And then, of course, in the early 2000s, I'm sitting in the stands watching the Bluefish, and I've never seen, I've been to a lot of stadiums, and I think probably with the exception of the Orioles, I've never seen a better outfield backdrop than that smokestack and that coal plant. And I know a lot of people, it's divisive, right? But that smokestack is a huge touch point for a lot of people in Bridgeport, and it's going to be gone. And, I got a little piece of that right outside my office window because he painted one of the chimneys the color of the smokestack. Yeah. So
it's a cool building.
Yeah. No, I love it, man. I love it. It's a great building.
So let's go into some of your services with ideal clients.
Sure.
Maybe a success story or two.
Okay. So our focus I don't want to say focus, because we're very horizontal, right? We will service any type of business because the technology doesn't change from business to business. Sure, you have some things that are sort of fine-tuned to whatever that industry does, and I couldn't do anything with your soundboard, but there are aspects of that having to then interact with other technology that I can help you with. You know what I mean? So we do take on, we take on most businesses that are, anywhere from 5 to 10 to, 100 seats. We provide a full service help desk during business hours, right? We can do that on the weekends as well. We don't do overnight. We don't do 24/7. I think that may be on the roadmap as we grow, but for right now, it so happens that these businesses that we work with don't have a third shift, right? Or a need for technology support during a third shift, and that may change. So the ideal customer is that. The ideal customer is a company that's anywhere from 5 to 10 people to 100 folks that are using email to conduct business on a daily basis, and we manage that through Microsoft 365, through our vendor relationships to get them the best price possible for that. They don't have to go to Microsoft and pay for it. We manage the whole thing for them, right? So the help desk, we handle all of their hardware. So we're handling the life cycle for their computers, for their servers, for their laptops, for their networking equipment, the firewalls, the switches, all of that. As well as handling, again, their vendor relationships to make sure that, the services that they're paying for that we don't deal with are being, provided at the greatest value, right? We'll also entertain with their other technology consultants. For example, I have, I'll give you a success story. We have a client down in Stamford who was doing a build out, a complete floor, and they needed work. They needed someone to handle their security cameras and integration with security cameras and access control into their phone system. And through relationships that we have throughout the BRBC, we were able to put them together with a colleague who handles those services, and they went and did that. They got work. Our client was taken care of, and we took care of that for them. So there's a lot of that.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, how do people learn more? Like, do you have an intake form that you give in any audits?
So you can,
what's the pipeline?
You absolutely come visit us at carriagetradesolutions.com and click on get in touch. We have a very sparse website for that specific reason. There's not a whole lot that I need to present on that website. But it's there for you to see what we do and to get in touch with us. So you click on get in touch. There's an intake form there. You fill that out, comes straight to us, and we reach out to you. You can also reach us at 203-324-6003. That is a legacy number that goes back to.
You have an AOL address too?
No, but that phone number belonged to our first employer.
Okay.
Wow.
So that has meaning.
And the phone number came in with the merger, and then when we took the IT business and created Carriage Trade, we also took that number with us. So, folks that remember the number for some reason can still reach us, and we can still pitch the business. You know what I mean?
Very cool. I'll make a suggestion. Add your personal stories to the website.
Okay.
I think your bios are fascinating. The story of how Carriage Trade came about is fascinating. Add it,
Okay.
Even if it's an about us for now, and then later on you guys can add your full bios. But I think in your space, I love the headline on the landing page, which is like you don't have to go overseas to be outsourced.
Right? Yeah.
But without like seeing you guys and saying, hey, you guys are like Bridgeport guys or real dudes, you want to connect that dot. You want to kind of like,
that's an excellent point. It's something that we've gone back and forth about a lot. Actually, those pages exist, by the way.
Okay. Don't be shy.
They're just not there yet.
Don't be shy. I mean? Tell your story.
Yeah, we love that.
Good stuff, man. You got a great story. I'm very proud of how far you've come, and
Thank you. I appreciate that.
in your journey, and thanks for your service. It's been a joy to have you on the show, sharing your story. I look forward to seeing you at more BRBC events.
Oh, absolutely.
And out in the community.
Got Waterbury tonight, but
Okay. Yeah, you're
no,
spreading out the
right.
tentacles. You got the octopus shirt.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'm everywhere, man.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here.
All right, man. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to this episode of Mission Control. Until next time, this is your host, Ramon Peralta with Peralta Design, and we launch brands.